New government to have 28 cabinet ministries and 40 state ministries. Portfolios gazetted. Ranil Wickremesinghe to resign from the UNP leadership. 4 wide for the leadership position. Number of parties mull over nationalist allocations. DNA samples to India to confirm the identity of deceased Angoda Lokka.
Hello there and a very good evening. You're watching Primetime News. For the News First team, I'm Dasni Athada. Starting off with your top story tonight. Issuing an extraordinary gazette today, the President announced the 28 cabinet portfolios and 40 state ministerial portfolios to be allocated at the ceremony to appoint ministers that will be held on Wednesday. The allocation of subjects has been done in line with the Vistas of Prosperity and Splendor policy document. Accordingly, separate allocations are set to be made for the cabinet of ministers and state ministers.
The 28 cabinet ministries are Defence, Finance, Buddha Sasana, Religious and Cultural Affairs, Urban Development and Housing, Justice, Foreign Affairs, State Services, Provincial Councils and Local Government, Education, Health, Labour, Environment, Wildlife and Forest Conservation, Agriculture, Irrigation, Land, Fisheries, Plantation, Water Supply, Power and Energy, Port and Shipping, Highways, Transport, Sports and Youth, Tourism, Trade and Industry and Mass Media. 40 state ministries have also been announced. 4 state ministers have been appointed in addition to the Minister of Education. The Ministry of Agriculture, Industry, Urban Development and Housing and Plantation will have 3 state ministers each. The Ministry of Finance, Health and Irrigation will have 2 state ministers. No state ministers have been appointed for the Ministries of Power and Energy and Environment. The PMD issuing a media release noted that the ministries held by the President and the Prime Minister are included in the 28 ministries that have been announced. The release further states that the national priorities, policy responsibilities and duties have been taken into consideration when allocating the ministries. The ministers and the state ministers are to take oaths before President Gotabaya Rajapaksa on the 12th at the Magul Maduwa, the Temple of the Sacred Tooth Relic. A group including the Commander of the Sri Lanka Army, Lieutenant General Shavendra Silva and Lalit Veeratunga arrived in Kandy today to inspect the preparations of the swearing-in ceremony.
Ranil Wickremesinghe has informed the group of former United National Party parliamentarians about his decision to step down as party leader. UNP General Secretary Akhila Viraj Karyavasam said that 4 individuals have been nominated to fill the vacancy.
The group of former parliamentarians of the United National Party met at the party headquarters in Sirikota under the patronage of Ranil Wickremesinghe. These were the views expressed by General Secretary Akhila Viraj Karyavasam following the meeting.
We believe that we can move forward by restructuring our party in future. The party leader has informed us about his decision to step down from his position. Opinions were sought from all those present to appoint a new person to the post. Accordingly, 4 names were proposed. We hope to arrive at a decision on Wednesday after discussing it with the party leader. We will then put forward our decision to the working committee.
එතුමා එන නායකයාට සහයෝගය දෙනවා කියලා. ඕවන් විජේවර්ධන මහතා ප්‍රකාශ කරා ජාතික ලයිස්තු මන්ත්‍රීවරය සම්බන්ධයෙන් ඔබතුමාටත් අදහසක් තියෙනවා කියලා. ඒක මේකේ සම්බන්ධයෙන් මෙතනින් මේ නායකත්වයේ තීරීමේ පසුව තීරණය කරන්න තියෙන එක. ඒ කියන්නේ පරාද වෙච්ච කට්ටියට ජාතික ලයිස්තු දාන්න නෑ. එහෙම කුමන පදනමක් උඩ දානවද කියන එක මේ පක්ෂ නායකයා තෝරලා ඊට පස්සේ තීරණය කරන්න තමයි අද සාකච්ඡා. කෘත්‍යාධිකාරී මණ්ඩලය සිකුරාදා රැස් වෙනවා. කෘත්‍යාධිකාරී මණ්ඩලයේදී තමයි තීරණය.
A group of former parliamentarians also expressed expressed their views on the meeting.
ඔබතුමාට නායකත්වය ලැබෙයි කියලා බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන්නේ නැද්ද?
මං එහෙම මේ බලත්කාරයෙන් පිටිපස්සේ දන්තුරු පිටිපස්සේ යන පුද්ගලෙක් නෙවෙයි. හැමෝගෙම කැමැත්ත ඇතුව තමයි එකමුතුව තමයි ඊළඟ නායකත්වය තෝරන්න තමයි.
ඉතින් ඉදිරිපත් වෙලා තියෙනවා. ජෝන් අමරතුංග මැතිතුමාත් බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා. ඒ වගේම
ජාතික ලයිස්තුවේ ඉන්නවා කියලා කිව්වා.
එතුමා ඉන්නවා ජාතික ලයිස්තුවෙත් ඉන්නවා. ඒ වගේම මේ මැතිවරණයට ඉදිරිපත් වූ අයගේ බලාපොරොත්තුවක් තියෙනවා පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට යන්න. එතන මම හිතන්නේ 6-7 දෙනෙක් ඉන්නවා. ඉතින් මේ පාර්ලිමේන්තු සීට් එක බලාපොරොත්තු වෙගෙන. ඉතින් ඒගොල්ලන්ත් එක්ක සාකච්ඡා කරලා හරි තීරණයක් ගන්නට ඕනේ.
ඒතකොට කාගේ නම්ද යෝජනා වුනේ?
ඒව රහස් තාම.
දැන් ඔබතුමාලා රහස් කී කී ඉඳලා අන්තිමේදී එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂය අන්ත පරාජයකට ලක් වුණා.
නෑ අවසානයේදී ඉන්නකො කුමාරි දැන් අන්ත පරාජය ගැන කතා කරමුකෝ වෙනම එක වෙනම කතාවක්නේ. දැන් තියෙන්නේ අපි අපේ නායකයෙක් හදාගෙන මේ සතිය අපි නායකයෙක් ඉදිරිපත් කරන අවසානයේදී අපි කුමාරි නායකයෙක් පත් කරගන්නවා. කවුරුත් බලාපොරොත්තු නොවන නායකයෙක්.
නායකතුමා ස්ථිරටම ඉල්ලා අස්වෙන්නේ කවුද?
නායකතුමා විසින්මයි කවුරුත් බල කරලත් නෙමෙයි එතුමා විසින් කියන්නේ එතුමාට දැන් හරි සමුගන්න කාලේ හරි එතුමාට
ඒ කියන්නේ එතුමා ඉල්ලාසුනොත් එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂයට හොඳ කලක් යයි නේද?
නෑ එතුමා තමයි පරිණතම නායකයා. මේක මම හැමතිස්සෙම කියන එක මේ රටේ අවාසනාව එතුමාව කියෝගත්තේ නැති එක.
Elections and ministerial positions are topics of discussion these days. Several parties that contested for the election are in this discourse. What is happening in the country politically?
Meanwhile, a complaint was filed with the National Election Commission over the inclusion of Dr. Suren Raghavan into the national list of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna. The complaint was filed by Venerable Alutgama Indra Ratanathera.
Acharya Mr. Suren Raghavan Mathuma.
We filed a complaint with the Elections Commission after receiving information that Suren Raghavan holds a Canadian dual citizenship. He has also intensely criticized the members of the Rajapaksha family on Facebook. We believe that the Commission will look into these matters about his citizenship.
ඉදිරි කටයුතු සිද්ධ කරනවා ඇති.
Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna Galle District MP Mohan Priyadarshana Silva expressed his opinion on allocating ministerial posts to members of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party in Galle today.
We have no problem with His Excellency the President and the Honourable Prime Minister deciding to give ministerial portfolios to the SLFP. The work done will end up being on behalf of the people. The decisions by the leadership of the SLFP led them to where they are today. The Sri Lanka Freedom Party is in a very sad situation today because it supported the United National Party. I hope they will not repeat the mistakes of the past.
Meanwhile, the senior vice chairman of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, Mahinda Amaraveera, has said that his party would unconditionally support the government.
Developing the country is more important than dividing ourselves based on our party. We have decided to unconditionally support the President and the Prime Minister to build this country. Our level of support won't depend on the number of ministerial portfolios that we would receive. What we need is to build this country. To do that, support counts more than positions.
Some parties allied to the Samagi Jana Balavege have put forward certain requests with regard to the national list seats in Parliament.
We have requested for a national list seat and are discussing about it. There are policy-based conflicts. We believe that a solution would be given to us. The Tamil Progressive Alliance has nominated 3 names to occupy the national list seats. They are Tilakraj, Gurusamy and Lawrence. We have been promised a national list seat. Therefore, the Tamil Progressive Alliance must be given national list representation. If that is not done, we will take an alternative course of action. We can't be deceived always. The Samagi Janabalavege, led by Sajid Premadasa, had promised to give national list representation to our alliance. We are clear on that. We must be given representation through the national list. If that is not given, the Tamil Progressive Alliance will be prompted to make a decisive political decision.
Meanwhile, the Sri Lanka Muslim Congress and all Ceylon Makkal Congress that are also allied to the Samagi Jana Balavege have requested for national list seats in Parliament. Secretary of the Sri Lanka Muslim Congress, Attorney at Law Nizam Kariappar, said that a discussion with the Samagi Jana Balavege scheduled for today had been postponed due to unavoidable circumstances.
තාම ෂුවර් නෑ මම විශ්වාස කරනවා මට ෂුවර් නැතිකම නෑ අපේ දෙන ජාති.
We have received 7 national list seats. We expected 9. We decided to impose around 5 or 6 conditions on providing national list seats to these parties.
those issues will be resolved by the party leadership. Generally, those issues wouldn't have arisen if we were elected to the government. Few problems may arise in the opposition. We have made our decision, but the United National Party has been unable to nominate a person to its only national list seat. These problems occur.
නමුත් දැන් එක්සත් ජාතික පස්සේ තියෙන එක දී ගන්න බැරුව ඉන්නෝනේ. ඒ වගේ ප්‍රශ්න එනවා දැන්. මේ වෙනකොට ඔබතුමාව ජාතික ලයිස්ට් එකෙන් නම් කරලා තියෙනවා. දන්න තරමින් ඔව්. අනිවාර්යයෙන් මට නම් විශ්වාසයක් තියෙනවා.
මොනම අවස්ථාවකදීවත් 3-4 දෙනෙක්
We are not a party in which a few members make decisions on behalf of the hundreds of thousands of people. We will take straightforward decisions and adopt the relevant course of action within the democratic and legal framework. The Samagi Jana Balawegaya will traverse through its political journey by discussing matters with its allied parties and groups. We will make the right decisions if they are delayed.
අපි අපේ ගමන ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්න සැදී පැහැදී සිටිනවා. ප්‍රමාද වෙලා හරි අපි හරි තීන්දුව ගන්න.
The Tamil National Alliance also has an issue regarding the national list of the party. This issue was created after Mave Senadiraja of the Ilange Tamil Arasu Katchi, a constituent party of the TNA, requested that he be appointed through the national list after he lost at the election. The TNA has already nominated the defeated candidate of the Ampara district, Thavarasa Kalerasan, through the national list.
A person from the north is claiming the national list seat. The leader is asking about the national list representation. How can we give it? There are 3 parliamentarians from Jaffna. When we look at the Ampara district, there was a conspiracy to remove the representation. The conspiracy to remove the Tamil representation from that area was successful. We cannot let go of the people of Ampara. We made a decision. Though we say our leader lost, it is not a simple matter. He was pushed to the 6th place. Suresh Premachandra, who is a leader of another party, also lost the previous election. He also requested for a national list seat. We did not give him that. If a leader of a party loses, that is the decision of the people. We must respect the decision of the people. There could be mistakes within the party. We must rectify them. If we do not do that, the party will not remain in the future.
அதுக்கான எல்லா அறிகுறிகளும் தென்படுகிறது. எல்லா அறிகுறிகளும் தென்படுது.
We must work prudently. There is no point in being divided. We must have a respectable political decision and live in peace. We must all unite to achieve that. There should not be any disagreement in that effort.
The Our Power of People Party, headed by Venerable Athureli Ratanathero and Venerable Galagodatti Nyanasarathero, received a national list seat at this year's election. A problem has arisen regarding the nominee to this seat, as the secretary to the party has been missing for the last few days. Meanwhile, the Our Power of People's Party said today that the secretary has been removed from his post.
We saw media reports showing that the former acting secretary of our party had written to the Election Commission nominating himself to the national list seat of the party. I wish to state that no decision has been made to that effect by our party or working committee on the national list seat. That is because we had said that the party would nominate Gnanasarathero in the event of receiving a national list seat. Therefore, we can't break that promise. We have removed him from the post of secretary. He was appointed during the election period. We have a designated secretary. He has resumed duties. According to the present election laws, it is the party secretary who must officially announce the person who would enter parliament through the national list. The problem is that the secretary who did that has gone missing now. He is not answering his phone. He answers the phone only when he wants and leaves his phone switched off most of the time. We have reasonable suspicion as to whether he is hiding himself due to influence exerted by international entities, racist or extremist groups, the government or the opposition. A day after this matter had come up, he had travelled using 3 vehicles. According to information that we have received, he had given away 1 vehicle and travelled in the 2nd vehicle before moving on to another vehicle in Nugegoda. After getting to know that, we went in search of the vehicles. However, we were unable to do that. Definitely, there is some form of a connection. All those nomination lists had trivial mistakes in it, such as the absence of a stamp and signatories. These are the results of a conspiracy against us for trying to establish a true national ideology in the country.
These were the views expressed by Ranjan Ramanayaka, who was elected to Parliament from Gampaha.
The election in one of Asia's poor countries is held like a reality show. Everything depends on the sponsors of the reality show. The sponsor decides as to who will move forward. There are many sponsors in this reality show called the election. They are the US, India, Japan and China. Nalika Godaheva is saying that he has 20,000 votes. Prasanna Rantunga, who has worked, claimed that he is lacking 10,000 votes. Let me reveal this secret. I saw that before Sunil Jailath, all the candidates had received the result. They were running around with those results. Sarath Weerasekara, who lost the previous election, obtained more votes than Vimal Weerawansa. How can that happen? Then Dallas Alahapiruma comes at round 4 or 5 along with Kanchana Wijesekara. A new candidate obtains hundreds of thousands of votes. Some US citizens are pushing the MCC agreement. Those who said no to it have obtained a 2/3 majority. Now they don't have to say that 70% is good and 30% is bad. A US citizen came and became president. Basil Rajapaksa is a US citizen. He came and conducted the poll. The funds came in, so the MCC agreement will also be implemented. About the container terminal at the port, P. Bijayasundara had to make a call to India and ask them. They will do that. Narendra Modi, Donald Trump and Xi Jinping are all sponsors. The election in Sri Lanka takes place according to the wishes of the sponsors. They bring a few of us to the fore as well. Otherwise, the reality show cannot be staged properly. They bring us also to the fore to portray that things are going well.
ලංකාවේ ඉලෙක්ෂන් වෙන්නේ. ඒ අතර අපිවත් ටිකක් දානවා. නැත්තම් රියැලිටි ෂෝ එක ඉතින් පේන්නේ නැහැ නේ හරියට. ඒ හින්දා අපිවත් පොඩ්ඩක් දාලා ෂේප් කරනවා ඇත්ත කියලා පෙන්වන්න.
Moving on to some business news. Following a surge after the general election last week, the Colombo Stock Exchange ended on a negative note today. Let's take a look at the update from the stock exchange.
The all-share price index dropped 25.73 basis points to 5,150.75, while the more liquid S&P SL20 dropped 13.18 basis points to 2,214.01. The Colombo Stock Exchange recorded a daily turnover of 671.6 million rupees.
Post-elections, there was an anticipation of a significant surge in the market over the past couple of days. However, what we have seen is a bit of selling pressure that has come in. However, if you look at on Friday, during the initial hour of trading after the election results were released, there was a significant surge in the market, about 50 to 60 points, and then the market started slowly dipping in value. Investor segment that was targeting the market, targeting the elections of the market, have started to sell in the market. So there is selling pressure coming in. We feel that it's profit taking that is in the market. However, the selling pressure is on low turnover levels. If you look at today also, we saw the market dipping by around 25 points, again on low turnover levels. So we feel that there could be further selling pressure that could come in over the next couple of days as well. Over the past couple of days, the selling pressure has been mainly coming from the speculative construction related counters, where there was strong buying interest aiming at the election.
Since the beginning of this year, the all-share price index has dropped by approximately 16%. During the year up to the end of July, stock exchange turnover increased by 47% to 130 billion rupees from 88.8 billion rupees recorded in the same period last year. Amid the increase in turnover, foreigners continue to withdraw their investments from the stock exchange. During the year up to 31st of July, foreign sales amounted to 66.88 billion rupees, almost double the foreign sales of 35.92 billion rupees reported in the equivalent period last year.
This is a revelation about a group of people who are suffering from the unresolved elephant problem, all while the people's representatives are discussing positions and privileges that are said to be afforded to them.
A 41-year-old father was killed when he was attacked by an elephant at around 5:30 this morning in the Kombagaslavä area in Valpaluwa in Anamaduwa. He had encountered the elephant while riding a motorbike to his workplace in Kurunegala. People who had come to the Anamaduwa road in Mahakumbukadavala this morning blocked the road at several places to protest against the authorities' failure to intervene to prevent the ongoing wild elephant attacks. People from Valpaluwa, Adigama, Unavitiya, Mahakumbukadavala, Galkuliya, Mohoriya and other villages affected by the wild elephant problem joined the protest. They claim that the elephant nicknamed Nattakota is claiming the lives of innocent people. Later, the group visited the Puttalam office of the Forest Conservation Department.
They sleep well in AC rooms. When we told them, the wildlife officers say they can't come into the woods at night. If so, they have to leave their job and put the right people in.
The locals said that herds of about 80 wild elephants coming from the Thabboa Reserve had disrupted the daily lives of people. Priyankara Jayaratne, who contested and won the general election from the Sri Lanka Podu Jana Peramuna, also arrived at the protest site. Work on the elephant fence commenced in 2014 with a sum of 80 million rupees through the Dayata Kirula program. It had been handed over to the Civil Defence Department for maintenance. With the overthrow of the then government, the Civil Defence Force officers were removed, and today there is no elephant fence. That is why there is a threat to life and property here. Later, wildlife officers met with some of the protesters. We have informed Colombo, but since they are not coming here, I called the Colombo office in the morning. Then they said that they would send a team to capture this elephant as soon as possible. They promised this morning there is a shortage of doctors. There is a distance of 6 kilometers from near the Mahakumbukadavala Divisional Secretariat to the Padiyamadu area. Along the 6 kilometers, 50 meters has been cleaned on both sides and the turpentine trees have been cut down. We do not see it coming. It was to show it that the road was cleared. So we made that request today, and then the director said we would come up with a fair solution. This is the response of the people of the 7 villages to the assurance given by the wildlife officials that an operation will be carried out to chase away the elephants after 3 p.m. today. The body of Sajiva Balasuriya, who died after being attacked by a wild elephant this morning, lay at the Mundalama Hospital morgue. Is it possible to provide a lasting solution to this problem without allowing more such lives to be lost prematurely?
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa has issued a statement thanking the people of the Kurunegala district. The Prime Minister thanked all those who voted for him at the parliamentary election in the Kurunegala district for the first time during a tough period in his political career. He stressed that the problems faced by the people of Kurunegala will be resolved and will not be limited to a promise made on the political platform. Mahinda Rajapaksa insisted that the responsibility of creating a peaceful and a prosperous country as expected by the people now lies before him. Meanwhile, Gamini Senrath, a senior officer in the Sri Lanka Administration Service, has been reappointed as the Prime Minister's secretary. He received his appointment letter from President Gotabaya Rajapaksa today.
5 individuals, including the Kurunegala mayor, who are facing arrest over the demolition of an archaeological construction, did not appear in court today. During the hearing, Kurunegala Chief Magistrate Sampath Hevawasam ordered the Regional Police Superintendent and the acting IGP to implement the warrant order issued for the arrest of the suspects on the 7th of this month.
A court order was issued today barring the 5 suspects from leaving the country. The Kurunegala Chief Magistrate ordered that a special investigation must be carried out into the individuals who are harbouring the suspects. Additional Solicitor General Sarat Jayamana, who appeared for the Attorney General, drew the attention of the Chief Magistrate towards a remark made by a politician during the election period, stating that he would not allow anyone to disturb a single strand of hair on Tushara Sanjeeva, who is the Kurunegala mayor. He said that an investigation must be carried out as there seems to be a connection between the remark and the delay in arresting the suspects. The Chief Magistrate, who ordered an investigation to be carried out in this regard, also called for a progress report on the probe to be submitted to the court on the 13th of this month. Meanwhile, a group pledging support to Kurunegala Mayor Tushara Sanjeeva staged a silent protest near the Kurunegala clock tower today. At a time in which the Attorney General must assist these officials after investigating the demolition of this building for road development projects of the government, they have been unfairly challenged. We are requesting that the necessary steps must be taken following an inquiry. It has been 27 days since the archaeological construction in Kurunegala has been demolished. Those responsible are still free.
Former Ministers Rajitha Senaratne, Ranjit Madhuma Bandara, Ranjan Ramanayaka, Ajit P. Pereira and D.M. Swaminathan appeared before the Presidential Commission to investigate acts of political revenge today. This is to give evidence regarding a complaint made by former Navy spokesman Rear Admiral D.K.P. Dasanayaka.
Former DIG Ravi Senaviratne, who was in charge of the CID, and retired DIG Ravi Vaidya Lankara, who was in charge of the Police Financial Crimes Division, also appeared before the Commission today. Earlier, Rear Admiral D.K.P. Dasanayaka stated that he was transferred to the Disaster Management Centre during the period of good governance due to political pressure. He stated that at a meeting held at the Ministry of Home Affairs in 2018, it was learned that the respondent ministers had instructed him to make such a transfer. Attorney at Law Gunaratna Vanni Nayaka, appearing for Rajitha Senaratne, testified before the Commission stating that his client was not instructed to make such a transfer. He stated that it was not necessary to give evidence as a result. Mr. Ajit P. Pereira, cross-examining DKP Dasanayaka, asked him if he was aware of any undue influence on the transfer. Mr. Dasanayaka stated that although he was not directly informed about the incident, it was reported indirectly. Ajit P. Pereira pointed out to the Commission that the then Chief of Defence Staff, Admiral Ravi Vijay Gunaratne, had reassigned Dasanayaka to the Disaster Management Centre due to the adverse weather conditions prevailing after considering his abilities as well. Therefore, Ajit P. Pereira requested the Presidential Commission of Inquiry to release him and his party from the list of respondents after studying the evidence of the complainants and presented facts so far. Meanwhile, retired Supreme Court Judge Upali Aberatne, the chairman of the Presidential Commission, has ordered the Commissioner General of Prisons to produce Shani Abesekara, the former director of the Criminal Investigations Department, who is currently in jail, as a respondent in connection with the incident. Further evidence regarding the incident will be heard on the 19th of this month.
Sri Lanka police have sent DNA samples to India to confirm the death of underworld gang leader Lasantha Chandana Pereira alias Angoda Lokka. The Indian Raw Intelligence Agency has stepped in to assist the ongoing investigations into the death.
A person who had obtained an Aadhaar card under the name of Pradeep Singh by fabricating documents had died in India's city of Coimbatore on the 3rd of July. A statement made by a woman identified as Amani Danji revealed that the deceased person is Angoda Lokka. Investigations are underway to confirm the identity of the deceased. We were informed about the controversial death of a criminal gang member named Lasantha Pereira. Diplomatic level intervention is taking place through the Foreign Ministry to confirm his death. The necessary information has been shared via the Indian High Commission. We haven't received an official confirmation on his death. The criminal and his allies have acquired property worth nearly 500 million rupees. Investigations have shown that a 928 perch land in Colombo had been owned by this criminal group illegally. Legal action will be taken regarding these assets under the Money Laundering Act. Information regarding these assets can be provided to Police Superintendent Abesekara, who is the Director of the Western Province Crime Branch, on 0718 592 279. if they had acquired land forcibly or by forging documents. You will be able to provide the relevant information on this number.
පිළිබඳ තොරතුරු ඔබට ලබා දෙන්න පුළුවන් ඒ දුරකථන අංකයට.
Meanwhile, 3 tipper trucks suspected to be of the underworld leader known as Angaroloka were seized in Mulleriyawa by the police. Police said that the tipper trucks had been purchased under the name of a relative of Angaroloka. According to the police, the vehicles were seized while they were forcefully parked on 3 plots of land. Police suspect that the tipper trucks are being used in a sand racket.
A member of an organised crime gang and his accomplice have been arrested in the Yatadolawata area in Matugama on charges of murder. According to information revealed during his interrogation, the Kalatura Divisional Unsolved Crimes Investigation Unit was able to arrest the main suspect while he was at St. Peter's Estate, Yatadola, Matugama. They are reported to be residents of the Yatadola area in Matugama. Meanwhile, 2 firearms manufactured in a foreign country and capable of firing 2.2mm bullets were also seized by the police. The police said that a large amount of money had been deposited into the bank accounts of the main suspect and that legal action would be taken against him under the Money Laundering Act.
Investigations are being carried out under the supervision of the Matugama Police OIC. The suspects will be produced before the Matugama magistrate tomorrow. Accordingly, further investigations are being carried out against organised crime gangs in the Western Province.
Meanwhile, a group of people engaged in a protest in front of the Colombo port city today.
Several workers who worked on the Colombo Port City project were terminated when they tried to return to work after the pandemic situation. Relevant employees point out that during the outbreak of the corona pandemic, they were given leave and asked to return to work later. They allege that no one was given back the work as promised. The police were called to the scene of the protest.
With the conclusion of the elections, political parties are now focused on their result at the poll. However, the forgotten problems of several farmers continue to linger in the country. As one section of farmers continue to struggle as their crops have been destroyed due to bad weather, the cultivations of several other farmers have been destroyed by pests.
The Talawa 411B area is an area belonging to the Mahaveli H zone. The residents of this village had first occupied these lands after the old Teldenia town had sunk in the Victoria Reservoir in 1982. The farmers in this area primarily cultivate onion. However, the hopes of these farmers who cultivated 100 acres of lands have now been shattered. Despite protecting their cultivations for 2 months, these crops are being destroyed gradually due to a fungal infection.
දැන් මේකේ මේ අලේ අල්ලාගෙන එන්නේ. දැන් මේ තේ කොළ කඩාවට මේ මුක්කම දිලාගෙන යන්නේ. පුලි අල්ලලා තියෙන්නේ මේ පුලි අල්ලලා තියෙන්නේ. මේ තියෙන පුලි අල්ලලා තියෙන ලෙඩේන්ටේ. මේ අක තමයි ලෙඩේ අලේ. අපි මහත්තයෝ මේ අප්‍රේල් මාසයේ ඉඳලා මේ ලුණු තවන් දාලා මේ වගාව පටන් ගන්න වෙලා දැන් මේ ලක්ෂ ගාණක් මේ වගාවට වැය කරලා තියෙන්නේ. ඉතින් මේ වගාවට වැය කරලා වෙරලා දැනට වෙලා තියෙන හානිය තමයි ඔබතුමාට මේවා පේනවනේ. ඊට පස්සේ දැන් මේ වගාවෙන් 7-5කවත් අපිට ප්‍රයෝජනයක් ගන්න බෑ මේ වෙනකොට.
හොඳට ගස් පෙනෙනවා, කොටුව ඈතට පෙනෙනවා, කොටුව ගස් තිබ්බට ඒවට රෝගය වෙලා තින්නේ. ඔව් මේක මේ වර්ෂාව නිසා ආපු නිසා කියන තමයි කියන්නේ අධික කියන්නේ අයහපත් කාලගුණ. ඒ වර්ෂාවෙන් තමයි මොනවා හරි මේ රෝගය ඇති වුනේ.
These farmers have informed the agricultural officers about this problem. However, they say that the fungicide recommended by the Agriculture Department has not proven to be effective.
හොයාගන්න බැරි ලෙඩක් තියෙනවා. කුසිකාරණ දෙපාර්තමේන්ත මහලු පල්ලෙමුත් ඇවිල්ලා බැලුවා, තලාව ගෝජන සේවකමුත් ඇවිල්ලා බැලුවා. තෙල් වර්ග කීපයක් නිර්දේශ කරා. ඒවත් අපි ගැහුවා තෙල් වර්ග 3-4ක්ම. ඒකට කිසිම ආන්සර් කරන්නේ නැහැ තෙල් වලට.
ඉදිරියේදී අපිට මේ ඊළඟ කන්නයටවත් අපිට මේ ඒ ගොවිතැනකට යන්න අපිට අවස්ථාවක් නැහැ ඇත්තටම. අපිට කිසිම මුදලක් දැන් මේ අපේ වගා වලින් ලැබෙන්නේ නැහැ. ඒ නිසා අපිට ඇත්තටම මහ බොණ්ඩ තරම් තත්ත්වයක් තමයි උදා වෙලා තියෙන්නේ.
Many farmers had cultivated their harvest by obtaining loans from banks and also pawning their possessions. They are requesting officials to draw their attention towards this issue and to provide them with some form of compensation.
All schools in the island reopened today subject to health recommendations.
Students arrived in schools today and adhered to health regulations that are in place, including wearing masks, washing their hands and maintaining social distance. The Ministry of Education said that schools with a total of 200 students or less will be open as usual from today and that they should maintain a meter social distance. Primary sections of schools where the total number of students in the school is more than 200 from classes 1 to 5 should be opened as follows. Schools are held for grades 1 and 5 on Mondays, grades 2 and 5 on Tuesdays, grades 3 and 5 on Wednesdays, grade 4 and 5 on Thursdays and Fridays. Secondary schools where the total number of students are more than 200 is required to operate grades 6, 10, 11, 12 and 13 on Monday, grades 7, 10, 11, 12 and 13 on Tuesday, grades 8, 10, 11, 12 and 13 on Wednesday, grade 9, 10, 11, 12 and 13 on Thursdays and Fridays. School hours for grades 6, 7, 8 and 9 are from 7:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. while grades 10, 11, 12 and 13 will be from 7:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. According to the circular released by the Ministry of Education, from today, all members of the academic staff are required to report for duty. The circular also states that working hours of all teachers except those who have been rostered till 3:30 p.m. will be from 7:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. Meanwhile, the circular issued by the Ministry of Education further states that no school canteen will be allowed to operate until the health sector confirms that the corona pandemic is under control.
We leave you tonight with another rendition of the Nagitimu Sri Lanka song sung by the employees of Toughline. For the News First team, I'm Dasni Athada, along with our interpreter tonight, Brian De Cruz. Good night.
Nagitimu, Sri Lanka.